Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Darria, and I'm coming to you live from Sharecare, our weekly Sharecare Facebook Live, Ask Dr. Darria. And why is it called that? Because you get to ask me whatever you want. Within reason, people. There are children watching, but you get to ask me your health questions, and I'm going to try to answer as many as I can. I'm also going to answer some of your questions from last week that I didn't get to, and then some interesting stuff in the news. So is coffee good or bad for you? What about grapeseed oil and the blood type diet? How to lose that pesky postpartum weight? We're talking about it today. So remember, if you miss anything, you can always watch us or check us out at sharecare.com to find even more great information. So first, coffee. Coffee is my friend, I'll be honest. 50% of us drink coffee every single day. So it's many of you, you're a good friend. And why? So coffee, in addition to waking us up, has some great little enzymes that are antioxidants, some that are anti-mutagenic properties, which sounds fancy, but just means that your cells don't mutate into cancer cells. Anti-inflammation, a lot of different benefits, but we're always trying to figure out what's the good amount. So there was a recent study looked at 180,000 people, and what they found is that at around 2 to 3 cups, they saw no adverse effects from coffee. They saw a reduction in 18% mortality, all causes. I mean, a 20% death reduction for your little cup of joe, that's not too bad. And they didn't see adverse effects. Higher than that, say 4 cups a day, you still had the benefit, but at that point you were starting to get jitters and a little bit of tremulousness and anxiety. So they said, you know what, 2 to 3 cups, you get the benefit without the side effects. That's a sweet spot to do. So 2 to 3 cups of coffee is a great place. Now, that said, research on people drinking coffee, it's not like a controlled study in a lab. So there's a lot of other things people who drink coffee may do, some of which may be good for them, some of which may be bad, and scientists say they can't really separate those out. So what does this mean? It means that if you don't drink coffee, I am not telling you to go start a 2 to 3 cup a day habit. But if you do, 2 to 3 cups of joe are okay, and go ahead and enjoy. Now, next, I wanted to talk quickly about another study about postpartum birth weight. Now, some of you may say, you know, I haven't had a baby in 20 years, or I've never had a child. It doesn't matter. It's a lot of the same things. Anybody who has children or responsibilities at home, this is going to apply to you. So this one study, well, there are 4 million births per year, so 4 million pregnant women a year. And this study said that 25% of them had issues with postpartum weight retention, to which I said, did you talk to the other 75%? Because I've had 2 kids myself, and I know no matter how much great shape you are in, it is still can be challenging to lose that weight. It's easier if you were thin beforehand and in great shape, but it's not a walk in the park. And to you ladies who just say, oh, the pounds just fell off, I'll try not to punch you, because for the rest of us, it wasn't the easiest thing. But that said, why is that? If you are a mom or are caregiving for anybody, sleep deprivation is a real thing. In fact, 52% of women with children in their homes said they get less than 7 hours of sleep a night. Studies have shown that women who are moms compared to non-moms, just by being a mom, puts you at risk for even more sleep deprivation. So sleep deprivation, whether it's because you're a mother or because you just don't sleep well, and us women, as a rule, suffer from insomnia far worse than men. Bless them. They don't have trouble sleeping as nearly as much as we do for a variety of reasons. So sleep deprivation is an issue. We don't have time to do the healthy things. Now that's the case whether you're a mom or not. Any of us, we don't have time to do the healthy things. Woo, this is really bright. I wonder if we should lower me down my light just a little bit. Y'all can see me, I'm so bright, I look like a little angelic thing. Let's lower that a little bit. I mean, maybe that is just my angelic glow, possibly. But now I can see some of your comments. Let's see. Okay, I can try to refresh them so I can see they're not showing up right now. Or one of them is having issues with it, but I will. So the other reason postpartum that we have difficulty losing weight. You don't have time to do exercise that you may have had in the past, and it's tough to eat well when you have a baby at home, especially if you're nursing, because you want to not harm your supply. Lastly, also, we can't forget, the study pointed out, is that postpartum thyroiditis. Now, what does that mean? 7 to 8% of women after having their baby have a problem with their thyroid after they have the child. So and they may even go on to develop chronic hypothyroidism. So what are some key points? We can't turn the lighting down at all? All right, well, y'all get to see me in my brightest. What are some key points? One, if you can, try to engage a partner, a family member, or some other support to help you at night. That is key. It is really key that when you first have that baby at home, you get some extra sleep. Even better if you can tell somebody, you know what, you just take the baby tonight. That way you take your tired little self to your bed, put in your earplugs, and just rest. Because number two reason is, as a mom or a caregiver, it is so hard to turn off your brain at night, and y'all all know this. So what can you do? One, my idea there is I love if you can just say, I don't have responsibility tonight, somebody else has the kids, I can sleep. And that turns off that vigilance of your brain that's always going and always listening for those people that you're caring for. Number two, right before bed, put down the phone, put down the devices 2 hours before bed so that the blue light isn't blocking your melatonin. Number three, do a couple of stretches before bed. Just sitting on the floor, kind of touching your toes, having a mindful moment. It seems really simple. It does a lot to just slow down your brain processes and make it easier to sleep. Number four, talk to your doctor. If you're still having trouble losing weight and it's been several weeks after the baby was born and you're just several months and the weight's just not budging, talk to your doctor about doing a thyroid stimulating hormone or TSH test, or just ask him to check your thyroid. There you go, for those of you who are having issues. Now again, I'm Dr. Darria, this is Sharecare, and Sharecare Facebook Live, and I'm answering your questions. So whatever you want to know about, put it in the comment section, and I'm going to try to answer your questions, do my very best. Next question was, let's see, Anna Gonova had asked us last week, what about eating for your blood type diet? So I am glad you asked this, Anna, and I hope you're watching, because if not, we're going to ping you afterwards to let you know. Y'all, if I wanted to make $1 billion, I could make up a specific diet based on your blood type or your fifth toe and what your fifth toe looks like and sell it to you, but I'm not going to, because that doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to explain to you what the blood type diet means and why it's really not scientifically proven at all. So, blood type diet. It's based on saying that if you're blood type A or B or O or AB, that came from different stages in human evolution. So they say the blood type O came from hunter-gatherers, and they had high protein. So people who are blood type O should be eating a lot of protein. So the reality is, if you look at our hunter-gatherer brethren of the millennia ago, yeah, they ate high protein, but what they actually ate, they weren't out eating steaks and burgers. They were eating about 50% of their calories from vegetables and plants and 50% from meat. So two things there. 50% of your calories from vegetables and plants is a lot of vegetables and plants. In fact, they ate about 100 grams of fiber, which means that they were also going to the bathroom a whole lot. But that's neither here nor there. They also ate meat that was very different from what we eat today. Like I said, they weren't eating Big Macs. They weren't eating grass-fed, fattened up cows. They were eating really lean meats. It's about less than 10% fat, which is really tough to find nowadays. Maybe it's like lean antelope or bison or some of those fancy meats you may find in the grocery store. So when it talks about their diet being really high protein, yes, but they were eating a ton. Really what they were eating the vast majority of the time were plant-based. So there's a lot of problems with that logic. Number two, they say that people who were type A diet came from a vegetarian diet. Well, that's a good diet. So when we're looking at it, type O diet was mostly plant-based with some lean protein. That's also a good diet. Type A, vegetarian diet, that's a good diet. But again, it doesn't matter what your blood type is. It matters what's going to be sustainable. If you want to stick to a mostly vegetarian diet, that's a good diet for you, and do it. If you like more protein and you want to have protein and more produce and do that, that's good too. Those are both good diets, but they got nothing to do with your blood type, and they have more to do with your lifestyle, your preferences, and your taste buds. And that's the most important thing when it comes to a diet that's sustainable, not a fancy label or some new brand to try to get you to buy something. So I hope that helps. Next question, let's see. And again, y'all, any questions, put them in the comment section. I will do my best to answer them. Don't try to stump me, because that's not nice, but I will do my best to answer them. Let me see, what other questions do we have? Okay, we have Blair Garth had said, is red yeast rice good? So what is red yeast rice, and why do people take it? So it's a fermented rice product that has been used in Chinese cuisine and Chinese medicine for millennia. and supposed to help promote blood circulation. Now, what is it? So you may have heard of statin medications, and Lipitor and Zocor and a bunch of others. And what they do, they have an enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase. You don't need to know that, but you just need to know that the reason that red yeast rice, why can't I say that, is said to be helpful is because it has an enzyme that has that kind of inhibitor activity. So it's supposed to help you with your cholesterol. That said, the problem with any supplement is that there's not standardization. So we don't know what's the best dose. We don't know that whatever you buy in that bottle is even going to be the dose that you need, and we don't know whatever it has in that bottle is not other stuff that may not be good for you. So all that said, if you really want to lower your cholesterol, the best thing is if your doctor tells you to take a statin, to do so, and then to go back to what we know about a healthy diet, largely plant-based, and watching saturated fat and trans fat, which are the two big culprits for cholesterol. Do that, and you need to worry a little bit less about supplements, and your cholesterol will start to help itself. All right, next question. Oh, good question from Francine Lostoco. I'm going to break the wall here. What about all the toxins and endocrine disruptors in almost all of our foods, water, air, medicines, vaccines, and personal care products? Endocrine disruption can cause a host of other problems. So endocrine disruptors, when we think about endocrine disruptors, they are in many places. And when I think of where they are, plastics, our food containers, our food supply, in our water, and just in a lot of other personal care products. I know you mentioned a lot of other places, Francine, but those are the places that I think of. And what are we talking about? BPA is one of them. That's a big one. But even just as bad as BPA are the BPA alternatives. So a lot of places come out and say, oh, buy my fancy BPA, it's BPA free. Well, the BPA-free alternatives are just as bad. Studies have shown that they are no better, and they cause endocrine disruption. And as a result of the endocrine disruption, what we are seeing, and what that means is that they have chemicals in them that can truly act as hormone mimics. So your body seems to be flooded with these exogenous hormones all the time, and it's potentially been linked to everything from cancers to obesity, early onset puberty, a variety of things. So what do I do in my life? For one, let's just be real. Like, we can't go crazy about it. You know, there are many things in our food and supply, and we can do everything we can, but it's important to not go crazy about it. I can take the 80-20 rule or the 90-10 rule. I try to eliminate the really big sources, knowing that there are some little sources. But if I eliminate 90% of it or 80% of it, then I can really rest assured at night. So, first thing I said, plastics, any of them, really avoid them as much as possible. Even if they're BPA-free, BPA-free does not reassure me at all because, again, the replacement for BPA is just as bad as far as endocrine disruptors. Number two, so use glass or use stainless steel as much as you can, or just plain old china. Make sure it doesn't have a lot of paint on it because you don't want to go the other way and have lead on your problems. But when I need to feed my babies, I give them a bottle out of glass or a stainless steel. So use either of those. And if you need to heat things up in the microwave, use glass. Glass is great for that. Number three, don't store foods, especially anything acidic or oily or citric, in any of those to-go cartons. Many of them have BPA lining. Change them to your plastic or to your stainless steel containers. Do those things, start there. It is in our food. Oh, and receipts. After you go grocery store shopping, those receipts are just laden with BPA. So throw those out, and after you touch a receipt, wash your hands very, 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 very well before putting anything in your mouth. Do those things, and we're going to eliminate a lot of the BPA products and BPA alternatives and endocrine disruptors. Yes, personal care products and other places, they exist, and I would love to see more of a crackdown on those. Over time, hopefully that will continue to happen. But if you do those things, you at least can give yourself some peace of mind there. So thank you, Francine. That was a great comment. So again, y'all, that was Francine Lostoco's comment. So we're gonna give her a shout out. And again, let me know what your questions are because I'm Dr. Darria, and we have just a few more minutes to be answering your questions. So let's see. Musarat Shah had said, what foods should you eat if you have high blood pressure? So First of all, if you do have high blood pressure, I would say absolutely stay on your medications. Don't just try to come off your medication because you're going on some food or special diet or anything else. Keep on your medications. But the best way to eat, because your eating and your lifestyle is a huge factor in your blood pressure. So I commend you for wanting to try to change your blood pressure with your food. This is how you do it. So it's a kind of a multifactorial. One is if you have high blood pressure, if you're salt sensitive. There are some people that consuming a lot of salt doesn't make a lot of difference to their blood pressure. There are some people that it makes a lot of difference to their blood pressure. So if you're salt sensitive, we're going to talk about limiting salt. We're going to talk about weight loss. I know you think that everybody talks about weight loss, but it is true. Losing just even a small percentage of your weight is enough to not only lower blood pressure, lower diabetes risk. It does amazing things. I know it's hard, but it is truly worth the challenge. Watching excess of alcohol if you have high blood pressure, and of course taking the medications as prescribed. So diet, and I'm talking about weight loss here. The DASH diet is a specific diet for high blood pressure. There's been some science saying fish intake plus weight loss can even lower your blood pressure even a little bit better. And then some other things, dietary fiber, magnesium, particularly magnesium citrate, soy, as in vegetable soy, folate, and even polyphenols. So blueberries, all those bright colored foods that we see, even dark chocolate, all of those are very good for us. I mean, they're good for us for many, many reasons, but also for our blood pressure. And also watching, so I mentioned then watching your salt. So what does watching your salt mean? It is tough in today's world because everything is laden with salt, but you're going to have to start reading food labels. So what you want to do is when you look at the label, you want something that either has about less than 100 milligrams of salt per 100 calories or less than 5% of your daily value of salt. If it has more than that, it has too much. And I just pulled out a soup that I usually eat, and I was looking at it, or not that I usually, but I was going to eat it for lunch, and it was a brand that I use, but this is a different flavor, and it had 20% of my daily value of salt in it. So y'all, if you're salt sensitive and you're worried about your blood pressure, that's not the kind of food you want to be eating. And hi, Donna Hillhouse, welcome. Let us know if you have a question. Glad you can join us. And then let's see. Also, if you're worried about your blood pressure, alcohol can be a particular problem. So talk to your doctor about limiting alcohol altogether while you're trying to get your blood pressure under control. So again, how do you lower your blood pressure with lifestyle? Limiting your salt intake, weight loss, and we're just talking about 5% of your body weight even can be enough, limiting alcohol, and the medications as prescribed. So there you go for blood pressure and foods you should eat. Now, Carol Ashburn had asked, what about grapeseed oil? And is grapeseed oil good for you? So what is grapeseed oil? This is a great question. There's a lot of different discussion out about the different kinds of fat, and saturated fat and unsaturated and monounsaturated fat, and it can get really confusing. So what is the good fat? Just as a level set for everybody, monounsaturated fat is really some of the best. We've got avocados, olive oil, nuts. That's when you get your great, good fat. Then there's your polyunsaturated fat. Sorry, a little bit of chemistry lesson, but it's important. Here's where you get your omega-3s and your omega-6s. Now, we think of typically the omega-3s, they're both necessary. The problem in the U.S. is that we get too much of the omega-6s. For our body, you really want a ratio of about 4 times as many omega-6s as you have omega-3s. But what are we eating today? About 17 times as many omega-6s. So we typically don't need more omega-6s. Okay, grapeseed oil is an omega-6. So if you're comparing grapeseed oil to trans fat, something lard, or to butter, then yeah, grapeseed oil is better. But if you're comparing grapeseed oil to olive oil, no, olive oil is going to be better, mainly because the grapeseed oil is predominantly omega-6s, and we really just get too much omega-6s in our life. So grapeseed oil here or there because you like the mild taste, because it does tend to have more of a mild taste than olive oil, then here or there it's okay, but it's not a panacea. It is not better than the other ones out there. And I'm going to take one more question before I hop, and that was just a really short one, and that was, is pink Himalayan salt better than regular? I swear, there's always something else new out there, and pink Himalayan salt is pretty yummy, but the reality is that it's salt, and there's really no better per se. Salt is salt. Sodium chloride, that's what makes up salt. It's pretty simple. It's just 2 different molecules stuck together, which any of y'all, if y'all remember your chemistry high school, which you may not, it was a long time ago for some of us, it's the same thing. And for those people who are sensitive to salt, it will lower. It will raise their blood pressure the exact same way. So be mindful of your salt, whether it's pink Himalayan or white salt or kosher salt or black from the mountains salt. It's salt, and it'll raise your blood pressure in those people who are sensitive. So I am Dr. Darria. I am so glad all of you could join me today. I had a great time, and you will find me next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Sharecare. In the meantime, keep putting your comments below because we always take the next week's questions from the questions you put in the comments, and the conversation still continues. Whether you caught us live right now or not, we'll be continuing to check this feed, and I'll be responding myself. So thanks for checking us out. Check us out at sharecare.com, and I will see you next time.